thanks for joining us. I'm Mitchell Ringos. For our first story, we head to the towns in Cape Breton and on Newfoundland's southern coast, as they have now declared states of emergency with post-tropical storm Fiona continuing to lash the region. CTV's Creason Achkate has the latest on the storm that has at least one person reported missing.
Fiona struck eastern Nova Scotia in the middle of the night. Its hurricane-force winds hitting up to 160 kilometers per hour.
This is not good. The biggest disaster that we've ever had right here.
Leaving a trail of destruction worse than many ever imagined.
It was shaking the house, so it was pretty bad.
My entire window caved in inside my room and my room was soaked. My room's pretty much ruined.
It's being called one of the strongest storms to ever hit eastern Canada. Fiona's high winds tore the siding off of Sydney's airport, strewing metal and debris across the parking lot. It brought telephone poles, traffic lights, and power lines tumbling down, with trees not only landing across the roads, but right on top of homes.
Tree damage, total collapse, but the house and the shed is still standing and no damage so far. I think a couple of gutters got ripped off, but we were fortunate.
Across the Maritimes, more than 500,000 customers are currently living without power. In Nova Scotia alone, approximately 80% of homes and businesses served by Nova Scotia Power are in the dark.
Unfortunately, given the dangerous condition for our crews and the widespread damage, there will be customers who will see outages for multiple days.
Officials say the threat is persisting and Maritimers are being asked to shelter in place. Storm surge warnings also remain in effect in many regions, with flooding a significant concern.
If you have a place that's safe, stay there. Do not be out on the roadways, sidewalks, or pathways. You're putting yourself in danger, you're putting first responders in danger, and overall you're putting your community in danger.
Officials say conditions should improve in the next 3 to 6 hours, but heavy rains and winds will still continue. There is a provincial alert also going out, warning residents to stay inside and stay off the roads. Creason Achkate, CTV News, Sydney.
Hopefully everyone can stay safe. Well, here in town, we saw over 140 sailors, soldiers, and air personnel from across Ontario and Manitoba this weekend for Exercise Waking Giant, a Canadian Armed Forces training exercise on Lake Superior led by His Majesty's Canadian ship Griffin. The exercise is meant to help them hone their skills out on the water, exercise their ability to respond to domestic emergencies, and overall sharpen their capabilities. Throughout the weekend, military personnel underwent numerous water training drills, including boat handling skills, diving, and hypothermia training. One of the drills took place on board the Alexander Henry, where personnel practiced climbing up the side of the ship, after which they undertook a casualty clearing exercise. Nathaniel Molson, commanding officer of HMCS Griffin, says Exercise Waking Giant is one of the larger exercises held throughout the year across the country and is critically important, especially for reservists.
The unique thing about reservists is that most of them have full-time jobs. So we have chiropractors, we have doctors, we have electricians and plumbers and nurses, all different trades, and those are their Monday to Friday jobs, and then they come out on the weekends like these, where they perform their Navy job. So it's very important to keep those skills fresh.
Now continuing with saving lives, but from the skies. Every day, Orange Air ambulance teams come face to face with life and death situations all across the province. Sean Leathong takes us up in the air behind the scenes.
Cutting across a clear skyline, this Orange Air ambulance is a link in the chain that connects the healthcare system. Their job is providing immediate healthcare covering over 1 million square kilometers anywhere in Ontario. And for one call, we are along for the ride.
I come to work knowing that what we do is unique.
Captain Jarrett Blowers is the pilot on this crew, working with First Officer Jenny Ballon. In the back are critical care paramedics Curtis McIntyre and Kevin Jonas.
And the full face BiPAP masks.
Crews work a 12-hour shift starting here at 7 a.m. with the daily briefing and taking time to make sure the helicopter is ready when needed.
It's a joy. You never know what the day's going to bring.
The crew is stationed out of the Toronto Island Airport, one of 11 bases Orange has across the province. The summer's been busy, so crews come in expecting to work.
We're out on multiple trauma calls a day. Between that, I've been on deliveries. I've been, very sick ICU patients that need to be brought into Toronto to one of the bigger hospitals.
When a call comes in, there are only minutes to prepare and get in the air. Taking off, the aircraft is heading north.
We're going to Perry Sound on a call to bring a patient back down to Toronto.
Today, the job is a patient transfer.
There's a patient who needs a higher level of care, so they'll be transferring that patient to Toronto. They tell me that this is actually fairly common.
On arrival, the buzz of the city is replaced by the quiet calm of Northern Ontario. The patient is having complications years after a kidney transplant. She's stable and quickly moved from the hospital to the aircraft in less than 5 minutes before taking off, headed for St. Michael's in Toronto. Critical care paramedics require a special level of expertise. They need to be able to care for some of the worst cases in some of the most remote locations.
Just have a larger scope of practice that you kind of have worked up to throughout your whole career.
Each Orange Air ambulance is like a miniature hospital with a multitude of medications and even a ventilator. This call requires landing on the roof of St. Michael's Hospital in the middle of downtown. The patient will soon get the care she desperately needs, having saved considerable time. Each call could be an emergency, a patient in need of life-saving measures. In the back, they work to stabilize. Up front, they move as quickly as possible. This crew's job is to provide patients the best chance at survival.
I can think of quite a few of those where I positively know the job we did saved someone's life.
When you're there at the right time, it's a great feeling. It's a really great feeling to be there.
Lifting off from St. Michael's, the aircraft weaving through the skyscrapers, making its way back to base on the island. When the job is done, they say, the view never gets old.
It's great to see the city and how much it's progressed over the years. I mean, every time I go up, it always seems to be a new condo or and it's always great at night when it's all lit up and very picturesque.
Just a moment to look because they never know when the next call will come. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Well, Thunder Bay held its first ever accessible sports expo this week. The free event aimed to connect people living with disabilities to accessible local sports opportunities and encourage sport participation by disabled people of all ages. Vendors from across the city were at the event to showcase the different activities and sports that are available in Thunder Bay, including pair Nordic skiing, wheelchair curling, sledge hockey, and seated volleyball. The expo featured a keynote presentation by Jeff Adams, a three-time Paralympic champ and six-time world champion in wheelchair track racing. He says events like this aren't only important for people with disabilities, but also to broader communities.
It's important to integrate people with disabilities and, people of various diversities, equity-seeking communities back into the community at large. I think there's value to that, and events like this just, really underscore that value and sort of drive it home.
The City of Thunder Bay teamed up with the Electric Vehicle Association of Northern Ontario to put on an EV show at the CLE Coliseum this afternoon. Hundreds attended the event, which featured more than 20 EVs inside and outside the building. Owners of electric cars were on hand to educate anyone looking to learn about the vehicles, including benefits, charging, and more. There were also electric bikes there for people to take for a spin, with officials there to talk more about bike safety. Ken Shields and Laura Mason helped organize the event and explain why the topic is so important.
The sooner we can make this transition, the better it is for all of our futures. So we find that, people are nervous about things that they don't know, don't understand, have lots of questions about. So when you get to actually speak to someone who's been driving an EV for 2, 3, 5 years, then you can get a sense of whether or not it's really feasible for your life.
We just did a 4,000 kilometer trip on like $200 with no issues other than a pesky flat tire. So it's been a great experience.
The event also featured a family bike swap hosted by community spokes. Well, the 24th annual Bachelors of Hope charity auction event has returned after a 2-year hiatus. That means so have the Bachelors. This year's event was hosted at the Victoria Inn Hotel and kicked off with all 8 past Bachelors hitting the stage for their annual dance routine. The event was hosted by TBT's own Avery McRae and auctioneer Spencer Haree. Each bachelor represents a luxury date package. The Bachelors of Hope auction is in support of the Northern Cancer Fund for breast cancer, and each package purchase helps to ensure breast cancer patients have access to the best treatment possible and, most importantly, close to home. We were able to catch up with committee member Lori Clark and returning bachelor David Faca, who raised the most money this year. Both expressed how the event was greatly missed during the pandemic and just how important events like these are for our community.
We actually raise money for the Northern Cancer Fund, and we get to take care of people locally while they're going through cancer treatment. So they get to stay home, be close to their family, have all of that support. So it's really important when you're going through something like that to have that support.
Fundraisers like this, when we're keeping all the money in our community to help, and especially this one for breast cancer research. I mean, all of us, all the bachelors in the group, everybody knows someone that's been affected by breast cancer. So it's so important for us to do that, raise money for our community, keep it here, and continue with some really great research.
This is an annual event for a very important cause, and all proceeds go directly back into the community. This year's total was around $80,000 raised over the night. We're now joined by sports anchor Kurt Black. Now, as we head to sports, a legendary person in baseball doing legendary things for an achievement not many people can say they've done.
Yeah, it wasn't just Avery McRae having a special night. It's out in LA. If you had turned off the TV because you just couldn't watch the Jays, you missed a little bit of history. We'll have the highlights of Albert Pujols' chase of 700 right after the break.